Well, His Excellency Jalil Abbas Jilani is a career diplomat and assumed his current responsibilities in January of 2014. Previous to his appointment, he served as Foreign Secretary of Pakistan from 2012 to 2013. His earlier assignments included Ambassador to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Union, and as Pakistan's High Commission to Canberra, Australia, Director General, South Asia, SAARC, Deputy High Commissioner and Acting High Commissioner to New Delhi, Director in India, and Deputy Secretary in the Prime Minister's Secretariat. In 2005, he also served as the government's spokesman on foreign affairs. His other overseas assignments included Washington, London, and Jeddah. He received a bachelor's degree in law and a master's of science in defense and strategic studies. He and his wife Shaista are the parents of 3 sons. In his spare time, he plays golf and is an ardent reader. As I mentioned today, the topic for today's presentation is Pakistan-U.S. relations, a perspective on regional security issues. Please join me in a warm welcome to Ambassador Jilani.
Thank you so much, Mr. Corey Lender, for this wonderful introduction. Thank you, BYU, for inviting us to this wonderful university, this great university, and also this great city. Our first visit, and we are enjoying every minute of our stay, myself and my wife, Shaista, here. What I'll do is that I'll speak for about 15-20 minutes, sharing my perspective on Pakistan-U.S. relationship and our perception on the regional security situation, because U.S.-Pakistan relationship is an extremely important relationship from our point of view, and the kind of developments which are taking place in our region, particularly in Afghanistan, they are of paramount importance to both of us. As I said, that this is an extremely important relationship between Pakistan and the U.S. because since Pakistan's independence in 1947, we have been part of the U.S. alliance. We have been a part of every initiative that the United States has taken in our part of the world, including our joint action, our joint fight against Soviet Union when they occupied Afghanistan in 1979, and subsequently in our fight against extremism and terrorism. This is a relationship which has seen many highs and lows. I have personally witnessed the lowest in this relationship when I was the Foreign Secretary, and I'm witnessing a high in this relationship in my current capacity as the Ambassador of Pakistan. Since 1947, since Pakistan came into being, we became independent. As I mentioned, that although we were part of the same alliance, but we have had our differences, and but we both understand the significance of this relationship and the strategic importance of this relationship. So whenever there was a low in our relationship, I had absolutely no doubt. And my colleagues in Islamabad and the policymakers in Islamabad, similarly, our colleagues in the State Department and the other policy-making establishments in the U.S. were also of no doubt that the strategic nature of this relationship is such that we certainly need each other. We have had our respective shares of complaints, which are also well known. The U.S. had certain complaints related to Pakistan, mostly related to divergences in the past of our respective strategies that we were trying to pursue in order to fix the situation in Afghanistan, and also with regard to Pakistan's nuclear program. Similarly, on the part of Pakistan, we also had certain complaints. For instance, we have been complaining that there is lack of appreciation of Pakistan's security interests in the region vis-a-vis Afghanistan, as well as India. And similarly, we have been complaining of the absence of an even-handed approach with respect to the nuclear strategy that was being followed by the US in respect of our region. However, despite these complaints, we have decided to transcend the past and look to the future. And we feel that the kind of important developments which are taking place in the region, the kind of role that Pakistan plays in South Asia, not only in South Asia, but also in the Islamic world and also in Central Asia, republics, Southwest Asia. It is a relationship that needs to become more robust, more cooperative, and there has to be more coordination between the two countries. Before I come to that, I think it's important for this very important gathering to understand that some of the important developments which have taken place in Pakistan in recent years, certainly they would fundamentally alter the course of this relationship to make it more strategic, more robust, more forward-looking. Internally, in Pakistan, we have witnessed a silent revolution. A silent revolution whereby democracy is taking strong roots. Last year, we had one democratically elected government. It completed its full 5-year term, and then through a democratic elections, transparent elections, another government, a transfer of power took place to one democratically elected government to another democratically elected government. The democracy in Pakistan is noisy, that we all need to understand, but it is something which is taking strong roots. Media is ruthlessly free in Pakistan. The kind of media that you are witnessing, I have been a spokesman of the government on foreign policy, and I know how vibrant the media has become in Pakistan. We have about more than 100 television channels, and each channel is trying to compete with the other in order to come up with this syndrome called breaking news syndrome. And the breaking news is in respect of basically pointing out highlighting the governance issues, corruption issues, which is, I think, again, a wonderful issue. Human rights situation. We have an independent judiciary, and the important thing is that all the state institutions are also working in accordance with the Constitution. In terms of the regional situation, we have had an uncomfortable relationship with India. But then there is a consensus in Pakistan that we need to improve upon this relationship. We have to build a peaceful neighborhood in order to promote our own economic agenda. So these are some of the important developments which are taking place internally. And also in the case of Afghanistan, today, when I look back at the situation a couple of years ago, and when I look at the current situation, there are more convergences between the US and Pakistan in the context of not only Afghanistan, but also other areas of importance, as was the case in previous years. US also is keen to promote regional connectivity in our part of the world. And I think, again, that's an important area of convergences. the regional connectivity projects which are being pursued by Pakistan, whether it is the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan pipeline project, or CASA 1000, or TUTAP, or the other projects which are being pursued by Pakistan, including the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, developing rail and road links between Pakistani port of Gwadar and also the western part of China. These are all these projects which also enjoy the support of the US. So in this backdrop, I believe that Pakistan is certainly better positioned to respond to many challenges now. The area of cooperation between Pakistan and the US in the coming years is also going to increase manifold. And one more aspect because of which this relationship is growing is that now that the US forces and the ISAF forces would withdraw from Afghanistan, the major responsibility to maintain peace on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border would also rest on Pakistan's shoulders. And this is something that is also acknowledged by Pakistan. In this context, we feel that while we are making good progress on this relationship, we also need to build on the positive areas of our convergences and also to basically identify areas of common interest at the bilateral, regional, and the global level. So bilaterally, since the last several months, there is a good dialogue taking place. The strategic dialogue between Pakistan and the US has been revived. We have established 5 working groups: working group on economy and finance, energy, counterterrorism and law enforcement, defense cooperation, and nuclear non-proliferation and strategic stability. These are 5 groups, and they are making extremely good progress. In the context of energy sector cooperation, I would like to acknowledge the strong support that Pakistan is getting from the US in the exploitation of energy resources in Pakistan, including the construction of 2 major dams that Pakistan is constructing. One is Dasu hydroelectric project, and one is the Amir Bhasha hydroelectric project. These are mega projects and which enjoy the fullest support of the US government. Besides this, the US has been able to help us in increasing our energy sector capacity by almost 1,400 megawatts in the last 14-15 months. On counterterrorism, the support that we are getting from the US has certainly helped build the capacity of our law enforcement agencies in taking in our drive against extremists and terrorists. So that is, again, a very important area of cooperation. Defense cooperation, I mentioned, is proceeding very well. We have launched operations, military operations in North Waziristan, and again, the kind of support that we are getting from the US is of significant importance in terms of equipment and that we have received in the recent months. On nuclear non-proliferation, again, this is an area in which we have made good progress. Today, we have a much better understanding of the nuclear issues that is being pursued by Pakistan and the US. We fully support the US initiative on nuclear security, and we are working very, very closely with the US administration in ensuring the safety and security of Pakistan's nuclear assets. We are party to the Chemical Weapon Convention and also Biological Weapon Convention, and we are committed to a universal moratorium on nuclear testing. Pakistan is also keen to promote strategic stability in South Asia, and in this regard, we will be very happy to pursue nuclear confidence building measures with India. At the regional level, again, as I mentioned, that we are having good cooperation on Afghanistan. Afghanistan's peace and stability is of paramount importance to Pakistan. It is important to the US, and we have been able to jointly do a number of take a number of good initiatives, including in the reconciliation process, as well as in building security of the Afghan security forces. Our military operations in North Waziristan, as I mentioned, against militant groups, including Haqqani Network, Al-Qaeda, and all foreign terrorist organizations, will certainly have a positive impact on the overall security situation, not only in Pakistan, but also in Afghanistan. But at the same time, what we are discussing at the moment with not only Afghanistan, but also with the US administration is that as we have launched operation, there has to be similar action on the other side of the border in Afghanistan, because our concerns, which are shared by a lot of people in Afghanistan and in the region, and including by the media, is that a lot of these bad elements who had previously made North Waziristan as the safe haven, they are shifting their base from North Waziristan into Nuristan and Kunar provinces of Afghanistan. So that's something that is of significant importance. Then again, I would say that with regard to the elections in Afghanistan, there was a lot of cooperation and coordination going on between Pakistan and the ISAF forces in terms of ensuring security on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and also to ensure that these undesirable elements, their movement is discouraged during that phase. We have again made our humble contribution in supporting the government of national unity, which is, again, I would say, something which is an extremely wonderful thing that has taken place in the context of Afghanistan. And here, again, I would like to acknowledge the formidable role that the US has played in bringing about this compromise between the two principles. Secretary Kerry's efforts and President Obama's efforts are certainly praiseworthy. So these are, in the context of, but in the context of Afghanistan, we feel that despite some good developments which have taken place, apprehensions are always there, and apprehensions, they relate to the longevity of the current government of national unity, because that would certainly remain a challenge for the administration and also for other countries. Security situation in Afghanistan certainly would remain a major challenge. And also the Afghan economy, because Afghan economy, according to reports, had begun to slow down quite a bit in the last several months, particularly after the departure of a large number of NGOs and also the international forces. So a reconciliation, economy, security, these are all important areas in which I think we need to remain engaged with Afghanistan. With regard to India, again, we share the US concerns with regard to the security situation on our border. We share the US objective that there has to be peace between US and Pakistan, between India and Pakistan. We were hopeful that with the new government that is going to take over in India, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the situation would would improve, because he is one leader who had won a sizable majority in the parliament, and he could certainly do something significant in order to improve relations. Initial contacts which were made between India and Pakistan, they raised a lot of hopes. Our Prime Minister visited India to participate in the inaugural ceremony of Prime Minister Modi. The two leaders, they also agreed to revive the suspended dialogue process between the two countries. The Indian Foreign Secretary was supposed to visit Pakistan in August. However, at the last minute, to our utter disappointment, the Indian government, they canceled the visit of the Indian Foreign Secretary. And then we see this tension on the line of control and increased rhetoric from the Indian side. From our perspective, this is something which poses a serious threat to peace and security in our region. We have absolutely no option but to revive the dialogue process, to enter into a peace process, because that's something which is important for the revival of the economies of the two countries. War, from our perspective, is not an option, because we are both nuclear powers, and any war that takes place between India and Pakistan will have devastating effect. And plus, I think there is also another imperative that in order to meet the non-conventional challenges that both India and Pakistan they face, like poverty, climate change, the natural disasters, terrorism, we need to cooperate, and we need to build a peaceful environment in the region. In the context of global cooperation between US and Pakistan, again at the global level, we are cooperating very, very closely at the international fora with the US. We are the largest contributors to peacekeeping operations in the world. And also, we last week, if you recall, that the UN Security Council passed a resolution against ISIS and the foreign terrorist organizations. And Pakistan played a very active role at the United Nations in order to bring about a consensus on that resolution. Similarly, it would be recalled that Pakistan played a significant role in the 70s in bringing about a rapprochement between the US and Iran. We played that role with the conviction that our relationship with two important countries, the United States of America and China, would be something that would be of strategic interest to Pakistan, and also it would be good for peace and stability in our region. We continue to play that role. We will continue to play a role in bringing about a rapprochement between, say, Iran and China, because we enjoy excellent relationship with Iran. I, as the ambassador of Pakistan, I not only represent the Iranian interest in this country, but I also represent not only I represent the Pakistani interest, but I also represent the Iranian interests in this country. So that's something that shows the kind of good relationship that we enjoy with Iran and other Islamic countries. To conclude, I would say that maintaining this positive trajectory in our relationship between Pakistan and the US is of paramount importance. We are both, I think this is something which is in the interest of both countries. This has also raised the level of comfort. But how do we make it into a sustainable relationship and a long-lasting relationship? I think we need to build trust and more cooperation. Because when the level of trust between Pakistan and the US was high, we were able to achieve our common objectives in a much better fashion. Expansion of trade and investment and economic cooperation is another area in which I think we need to cooperate very closely. Respecting each other's comfort level would again be something which is very important. And then lastly, respecting Pakistan's security concerns, whether they relate to the nuclear issues, whether they relate to Afghanistan, and whether they relate to Pakistan-India relations would also be of significant importance. I stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the Ambassador for leaving some time for questions. So we'd invite you to form a queue here in front of the microphone. Tell us your name and what you're studying, and we'll have a few minutes here for additional questions with the Ambassador.
My name is Chris Peterson. I am a military studies and political science major. In the June, Operation Zarba Azov was launched into Waziristan, and you touched upon that briefly. At the time it was launched, it was considered to be like the end of all operations, the big one, the one to end them all, and it went in with a lot of optimism. Now, several months later, is that still the case, or has that waned?
No, I think this is very much the case. The operations that we launched, they have been a huge success in North Waziristan. You see, we need to understand that we have been able to clear the entire Waziristan area. In the first phase, we cleared South Waziristan, and then recently in June, we went to North Waziristan. North Waziristan remained the most treacherous of the tribal areas, which required a lot of preparations on the part of the defense forces. And also it required developing a national consensus. And thirdly, it also required moving the civilian population from Waziristan into safer locations. So as part of this strategy, after developing a national consensus, first, before launching the operation, we took out the civilian population. 1 million people, civilians were taken out of North Waziristan, brought to the safer locations. Government is providing them lodging, food, health, and education. And then we launched the operations, and we have been able to clear almost 90% of the Waziristan. The remaining 10%, we feel very confident that we should be able to clear in the next 4 to 6 weeks. In the process, in the last 6 months or so, we have been able to eliminate almost 1,200 of these terrorists, including, belonging to all groups, foreign groups, the local groups, and we have been able to apprehend a large number of them. I mentioned that many of them, they have gone across the border. We are, again, having a discussion with the Afghan government. The discussions are moving forward in a very positive direction. We will make a joint assessment of the situation on the ground, and then we will develop a joint strategy as to how to deal with that phenomenon.
Hello, my name is Stephen Lau. I'm a political science major, and I wanted to ask you, what is, in your opinion, the difference between the Pakistani-U.S. relationships from the government standpoint and the Pakistani-U.S. relationships from a military standpoint?
Well, I think I'm often asked this question because, basically, the assumption behind this question is the nature of relationship between the civil and the military. Things have changed in the past. For instance, in the last couple of years, in the sense that we have established a cabinet committee on national security. That's a recent phenomena in the context of Pakistan. The idea was of establishing this national cabinet committee on national security was to discuss issues between all stakeholders, between the political leadership, the military authorities and other stakeholders in the country, and to arrive at a consensus decision. So I would say that the decision-making process that we are following as part of the Cabinet Committee on National Security would be on a similar line that is being followed in almost every country in the US. And to give you an example, and I sorry for this delayed answer. For instance, my understanding of the decision-making process in this country is that issues are circulated to the stakeholders, and in the context of the stakeholders, if my understanding is correct, it is the Department of State. If it's a foreign policy issue, Department of State, National Security Council, the CIA, the Vice President is there because he represents the Congress. It is the DOD and Department of Treasury. So the issues are debated, whether it's a foreign policy issue or other issue. And at the end of the day, a decision is arrived at. So it is always not necessary that the recommendation given by the State Department would carry the day. Sometimes the arguments which are being advanced, say, by another arm of the government, if they are more cogent and they make more sense and they're more based on better research, then those recommendations would carry the day. Similar process is being followed in Pakistan because the issues are now circulated beforehand. Discussion takes place between all stakeholders, which includes members of the cabinet, the foreign minister, the foreign secretary, the finance people, and also our intelligence agencies. And then at the end of the day, after a debate, the issue is arrived, the decision is taken. So that's the kind of a process we follow.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Travis Dolney. I'm studying geography here. And what I'd like to ask you is, in your opinion, did the United States ultimately finding Osama bin Laden within Pakistan and the operation that ended his life, did that harm the U.S. relationship with Pakistan and vice versa? And if so, to what extent?
Osama bin Laden, there was a lot of misunderstanding in the US as well as other countries, as if Pakistan was unhappy over the death of Osama bin Laden. That was not the case. The main issue was the violation of Pakistan's sovereignty by an ally, because we thought why there was an anger, why there was a disappointment, because you take the case of Al-Qaeda. I remember that initially when we were talking about apprehending or taking out the 10 high-profile Al-Qaeda leaders, including Ayman al-Zawahiri and Osama bin Laden, out of the list of 10 that we shared between our two countries, 8 were eliminated as a result of joint cooperation between Pakistan and the US. Either Pakistan, shared the information with the US, or the US shared the information with Pakistan and the action was taken by Pakistan. You name, whether it is Abu Zubaydah, whether it is Sheikh Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or all those people who belong to. So so we were actually surprised that in the case of Osama bin Laden, when President Obama, in his first speech, if you recall, he said that he would like to thank the government of Pakistan for the kind of, for intelligence sharing. Our expectation was that whatever information that we have been sharing with the US should have built upon that information, as was the case in the previous such cases, and then we should have been told and we would have taken action against that, because it generated a lot of anger and also developed a lot of insecurity in Pakistan because Pakistan's sovereignty had been violated. The US helicopters came inside the country took out an operation, and then they went back. It was a fantastic operation, but at the same time, it certainly created a lot of. So I think that's why, if you recall that I mentioned that it's important to build trust, because when you build trust, you are able to take actions jointly with the least amount of the reaction that you will get from your public. We have to be mindful of the fact that Pakistan is a democracy. We have to be mindful of the fact that we have a very free media. We have to be mindful of the fact that there is a parliament where issues are debated. We have to be mindful of the fact that there are opposition parties who are looking for an opportunity to point a score vis-a-vis the government. So these are some important realities that we need to understand.
I guess if I could ask you and follow up there, you spoke about how the operation to capture bin Laden was different from previous operations. Would you say that reflected deterioration in trust between the U.S. and Pakistan? And if so, what was the cause of that lack of trust?
I'll be candid. I think that was a reflection of the reduced amount of cooperation and coordination, and also the degree of trust that had gone very low between the two countries at that particular stage. So that there is absolutely no doubt about it. But as I said, that since that time, the level of trust has improved, and there is very good cooperation going on between our two countries at all levels, whether it's the intelligence to intelligence or defense to defense authorities.
Any other questions?
My name is Brian Priest. I'm studying Russian here. And sorry to ask another military-related question, but in these operations, like in North Waziristan or in the Swat Valley, these areas, after the operations, what then does Pakistan do to establish the legitimacy of the government in these regions?
Yeah. You see, what we will do is, as part of the strategy that we are following, that we will clear North Waziristan. The troops will station there. They will stay there till such time. The troops will be stationed in North Waziristan and other parts of tribal areas for a longer duration. During this period, what we plan to do is that we would take these civilian population belonging to those areas, those innocent people, the civilians. We would like to rehabilitate them. We would like to rebuild the infrastructure. We would like to rebuild their houses, their schools, their hospitals, and mosques. And we will try and empower them by way of providing them jobs. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a proposal which was jointly mooted by Pakistan and the US administration in the US Congress to establish reconstruction opportunity zones in the tribal areas of Pakistan. And the concept of reconstruction opportunity zones in the tribal areas of Pakistan meant that there will be investments that will be carried out. Infrastructure would be developed jointly by the US and Pakistan. And then we would invite the investors to invest in industries which would enjoy the produce of those industries would enjoy duty-free access in the global market. So that would create a win-win situation, because the investors would make good profits, and also in the process, the people of the tribal areas, they would be able to get jobs, skills, and they will resume their normal activity. And it would help us in keeping the area away from terrorists and extremists. I think a similar kind of a concept is being developed again by us. ROZ concept is over now. What we are trying to do is that we are preparing a plan of action that we will share it with the international community who are interested in the development of that region in order to defeat the forces of extremism and terrorism. And that would certainly produce very good results. But as I said, that plan of action is in the process. probably another 2 or 3 weeks, it will be shared with the international community.
Hi, I'm Jenna Jackson, and I'm studying international relations. And so a Pakistani teenager, Malala Yousafzai, was just awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her promoting girls' education in Pakistan. And so what's been the reaction there in Pakistan to her reception of the Peace Prize, and also what's being done to promote this equality of education and the issues she's passionate about?
Well, I can say that there is a lot of jubilation in Pakistan because the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize has gone to Pakistan. So accordingly, there is a lot of, but at the same time, apart from the jubilation that it has created, because there is a sense of pride in Pakistan for what Malala has done, it has also, she has become a role model for every girl, every woman in Pakistan. And the kind of, and you know, incidentally, ever since this incident has taken place, if you look at the data, the enrollment of a girl child in schools has improved significantly in Pakistan, particularly in the remote areas. The day she got the Nobel Peace Prize, I was watching television, another international network, where they had gone to her village to interview other girls who were studying in the same school, and the kind of, you know, the confidence that you witnessed on the faces of those girls, that's important. But another important thing that we need to understand, that there is a lot of focus on girls' education in Pakistan these days. And if you visit any Pakistani professional institution, for instance, in whether it's engineering university or the medical colleges, you see more women than boys in those professional, which was not the case, say, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Now women are competing with the, so there is a new awareness that this is something which is very important. Another good thing which is happening in the context of Pakistan is that we have 30% women representation in our parliaments, whether it is the National Assembly or the state assemblies. So women are also becoming very active. And then the kind of role that women civil society organizations are playing in terms of promotion of education and creating awareness of the kind that Malala has created, that is something that is being raised these days on a large scale basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Bevel. I'm currently an open major here at BYU. So my question, I'd like to briefly return to the trust relations between the U.S. and Pakistan. You'd mentioned earlier that after the operation on Osama bin Laden, that relations have improved. Can you talk about specifically what steps the U.S. took to improve those relations, and then maybe what your hopes are in the future that the U.S. could take to improve those relations either to a further extent?
Well, I can very easily throw some light on it because as I said, that I saw the lowest when I took over as the foreign secretary of the country after I returned from Brussels. There was a time when we were not even talking to each other, and that was towards the end of 2011 and beginning of 2012. But the important thing is that people in Pakistan, the policymakers in Pakistan, as well as the policymakers in the US, they were aware that this is a relationship which is extremely important, number one. Number two, there are basic inherent strengths in this relationship. What are the inherent strengths? Because our psyche, our makeup, our training, is oriented towards a part of the Western Alliance since the time that Pakistan gained independence. We were part of the CETO, we were part of the CENTO, we were part of the Baghdad Pact, we were part of this alliance against Soviet Union in the 70s. And then now we are part of this alliance against extremism and terrorism. So accordingly, the issues that had arisen or cropped up between the two countries, we need to tackle those issues. I think patient diplomacy on the part of the two countries, the statesmanship that was displayed by the leadership I remember that we had series of meetings with previously Secretary Clinton and subsequently with Secretary Kerry, and we were able to produce some very positive results. When I talk about the inherent strength of this relationship, the moment we decided to revive the dialogue process and the moment we decided to establish these 5 working groups, the amount of progress we made in these groups within a span of 2 to 3 months, that was again amazing. That was like as if we never had any differences of opinion between our 2 countries. We need to understand that most of our differences were on account of our differing perceptions with regard to Afghanistan. US had a different recipe with how to fix Afghanistan. We had a totally different recipe how to fix Afghanistan. But that was the past. When we look at this relationship, I think today we have nothing but convergences in the case of Afghanistan. We have nothing but convergences in the case of regional security issues, or for that matter, the regional economic integration that the US wishes to promote and we also wish to promote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Destin Haney. I'm actually studying neuroscience here. My question's maybe a little to do with education of girls and others, but more to do with international NGOs and what's the perspective of the Pakistani government as far as these international NGOs, what they're doing well, and maybe ways they can improve or issues they can focus on a little more.
The international NGOs, they came in the spotlight after. They have a very important role to play. International NGOs in the development of most of the developing countries, and they have played a significant role. But unfortunately, in the past several years, some of the activities being followed by the NGOs, they did not conform to the role that they are required to play. For instance, I remember that a defense minister of a European country, when she was asked in the parliament as to how do you provide cover to your intelligence people operating in Pakistan, and she very innocently responded that there are a couple of NGOs operating in Pakistan, and we have been able to induct our intelligence people. So that created a lot of alarm in Pakistan. Similarly, the way Shakil Afridi was used by one NGO that was operating, that has also is having a disastrous effect in terms of our campaign on polio, because the Taliban have threatened, Al-Qaeda has threatened the polio workers in Pakistan because of that unfortunate development. So these are, otherwise, I think if the NGOs, they confine their activities to the role for which those NGOs are known for, I think every country would welcome them and would facilitate their work in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thanks again for your questions, and thank you to Ambassador Jilani for his visit and his comments today.